Alrighty recruits, today was patch day, version 92.01. So sit down, listen up, because we're about to take a little trip down the rabbit hole. First of all, I'm going to put my gun review videos on hold, till this chaos settles down a little bit. Now, it may seem frustrating that changes are coming so quickly, however I assure you this is a good thing. Why? Because the developers are noticing that there's differences that need to be made to make the changes so that the developers can make adjustments to the game. See, we could all sit around for months, getting used to these guns, enjoying our Mark 18s with laser beam type precision and amazing damage. Now some of you have been crying and complaining on Discord and, oh woe is me, where did my scar go? But I assure you, this is better changes for the game overall and better changes for life. See, these changes are bringing more guns into the limelight, making things more debatable. Well, what's better at close versus long range? And I assure you that the game is getting balanced at its own speed. Now, one good thing about the patch today is most things were brought up versus being brought down. Having most of the game buffed versus being nerfed always feels a lot better than taking sandpaper to the side of the face with a belt sander. See, when everything gets nerfed, it doesn't feel so good, and there's a lot more complaints to be had. Now, here are the official patch notes that you can see somewhere, and I'll leave those on the screen for a minute. This is your chance to pause and take note and read them if you haven't seen them somewhere else. Going down the list, the AUG got a damage buff from 25 to 28, making it a little bit more reasonable up close. However, the recoil pattern still goes like this, and I don't understand why. It's literally going the wrong way, if you ask me, compared to all the other guns going vertically to the right. Now maybe this is because of the bullpup design, I really don't know. All I know is, I can't stand the thing. Next is the CZ805. This thing went from 28 to 30 damage, which is a decent little buff, especially at closer ranges. However, the recoil on this thing sucks and takes a massive amount of controller input to control and to keep it on target. I would definitely stay away. Now, one gun that came back into the spotlight, in my opinion, is the G36C. Going from 26 to 29 damage, and having very controllable recoil, this gun might be seeing a lot more play. The SCAR got a little buff from 31 to 33 damage. The recoil got a little bit better. However, I still feel like with its unknowingly directional challenges that comes with it, it makes it hard to hit a target when they're doing this kind of thing. So keep that in mind. Another gun that got a buff is the FNFAL, from 33 to 35 damage, as well as having a manageable recoil that feels good. Expect to see this gun more often. Most of the SMGs got a pretty big buff. We'll cover some of those right now. The Chris Vector went from 21 to 25 damage and got the biggest buff out of every gun across the board at every range, getting almost 6 points of damage at longer distances. The recoil on this gun is literally a laser beam, so be careful and watch out. The MP5 got a buff from 22 to 24 damage. Its 30 round magazine capacity and this new damage rating makes it possibly the best SMG in the game. It has literally no recoil at all, and it's The MP7 got a buff from 20 to 23 damage. However, the limited magazine capacity and the rate of fire being as slow as a slug, this gun kinda sucks. Moving on to the P90, it went from 19 to 22 damage, giving it a significant buff. However, the awkward handling of this gun in VR, making it feel like you've got T-Rex arms, or technically need them to operate this weapon system, makes it absolute trash. It is quite literally a laser beam and might actually be the best pistol in the game if you play with it that way. QBZ, which is a bullpup design, and the recoil got a little bit of a buff, but it's still slightly awkward. It feels like hot grandma garbage whenever you're trying to handle it. The Mark 18 and the M4 are the next two weapons on the nerf list. The Mark 18 went from 30 to 28 damage, however it's still an absolute demon of a gun and I'm sure we'll still see a lot of it. The M4 also got a significant recoil nerf, however it's still pretty damn good and I think we'll also see a lot of the M4 as well. There were some other things in the patch notes that maybe you want to read over. I would go back and just pause it at that screen. I'm not going to cover those things here. Supposedly there's change to armor, but from what I can tell at point blank range, light armor still does nothing, medium armor still does 10%, and heavy armor does 20%. The headshot modifier on heavy armor seemed to have changed from 3x to 2.5, meaning that it got a slight buff at point blank range, but at the time of making this video, I haven't had time to go through all of those things in detail at all of the different ranges. Now, as always, I appreciate you for your time. Always keep it classy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be.